I was watching a YouTube video from a guy who does talking about scores in movies and adaptations and stuff.
What do you mean? Oh, you get some music and stuff.
Yeah. And he was talking about why Tim Burton's what's it called? The butcher dude on with
the butcher dude. What?
The pie shop butcher. What's it called?
Oh, Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why it's actually a really good adaptation.
Yeah.
And why the music's so cool.
Yes.
You know, what's the name of the piece? Is it Des Corum or something? There's this classic piece of music that's been used throughout history.
Yeah.
It's usually used referring to death. And it's really iconic. And if anyone played it, you're like, oh yeah, I recognize that piece. Well, basically, that whole piece is used for every single motif in the movie in some way or another.
And they just change it around.
Yeah, literally, they flip it upside down.
They
elongate it. They put it in minor key, major key.
That's insane. Because that takes a lot of work, but it also takes a lot of thinking outside the box as well.
Yeah, it streamlined the movie, and it made the movie iconic. Also, it meant every time you meet a character and you hear their theme, you know who's going to die and who isn't.
Yeah,
because of how the motif is played
and how familiar it is, I guess, with all the deaths.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I haven't seen it in a while.
No.
And I do recall it being quite a good film.
Despite Johnny Depp.
Oh, Johnny Depp's fine.
He's fine.
I think he's fine.
He is fine.
He's like Nicolas Cage, except a little better at what he does.
I think he's like a tame Nicolas Cage. He doesn't have the highs, he doesn't have the hose. Doesn't have the lows.
I don't know, he gets a lot of hoes.
He does get a lot of hoes.
Hi guys. This is the Film Roast Podcast. We are sitting in my lounge room because it's really, really hot and the studio doesn't have air conditioning.
Don't blame us. This is the summer.
It is summer, so you might get a lot of podcasts centered in this little lounge room, at least over the next couple of months.
Yep.
Except for the Yeet and Swag podcast episodes, because they are definitely done in a
controlled environment.
Controlled environment. We have to. We really have to.
We care about production value. So.
Yes, exactly, and production value cannot go down. One thing that we're talking about today...
What's one thing?
Just one thing.
Uh-huh.
It encompasses a lot of things. Is the new film Dr. Sleep.
Yes.
But before we get into that...
Yeah.
Let's discuss the trivia from last week.
Oh, okay. We're just going to jump straight into trivia.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Who was it? No, I think I know.
You know.
Started with a B, ended with a Azer.
Azer, yes.
It's Brendan Fraser. One of my favourite B movie actors of all time.
He's come back as well. Recently, he's come back.
He was in the DC
Doom
TV
Patrol
series,
and he's
Doom
also
Patrol.
in a show called Justified, is it?
Justified? No, Justified's old.
It's something similar to that.
Yeah, something similar.
It sounds similar to that, and it's a similar sort of show to Justified as well.
Yeah.
And where he plays a sheriff, and it's apparently pretty good as well.
Excellent. I haven't heard of that, actually.
I don't think it's screening over here in Australia.
Oh, of course not. Why would it? Because But
Brendan Fraser is back, and...
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love... Brendan Fraser has been one of my favourite underrated... Not because he hasn't done really good stuff, because he has. He's done a lot of really good stuff that I don't think enough people have seen.
Or appreciate.
But he's... It's recently come to light that he has been almost blacklisted by a certain producer in Hollywood because of a harassment issue where he got harassed by a producer, sexually harassed, and he was pretty much just pushed to the side.
Yep. It was a bit more complicated than that, but that was part of what was involved.
Yeah. And ever since the Me Too movement, I'm glad to see him come back into, into working in more film and media and stuff.
He had a rough couple of years because he was going through depression. His mum died, I think.
Yeah.
And but he's back. And
he's back, and I want to see more of him.
Me too.
What I want to see is I want to see a resurgence of Brendan Fraser that is not unlike what Keanu Reeves went through when John Wick came out.
Yeah, that is exactly what I want to see.
Yeah. Speaking of Keanu Reeves... He's recently been seen dating somebody, and it's so wholesome and amazing, and I'm so happy for Keanu Reeves.
She's the art designer or something?
She's an art designer. She's also a writer as well. They wrote a book together back in 2012, I think. They've been lifelong friends for ages.
Yep.
And recently they've started dating, or we actually don't know how recent it is. They could have been dating for years, and they just kept it on the wraps. But I'm so glad that he's...
Because Keanu Reeves is another one who's had a very tragic life.
Yes. Very, very sad life. but also someone who doesn't let that get them down, and they're just the nicest. From what I know of
He's
him
such a
and
down
what
to
I've
earth
seen,
real guy. So
seems to be one of the nicest celebrities that have ever walked the face of the earth.
and he's also someone who's more than willing to make a joke at themselves.
Yeah.
So.
And oh man, the amount of stuff that he's been in recently, and he's going to be in Cyberpunk 2049.
Yep.
Or 2049, I can't remember.
The video game.
The video game that's coming out. He's going to be like the guide for the character, where he guides you along your missions and stuff like that, which I'm really looking forward to. There's
talk of a new Matrix movie.
And yep, there's talk of a new Matrix. What I don't really care about.
But there's probably going to be another John Wick, which is great.
Yep, there's definitely going to be. There's going to be a TV show.
There's a TV show. Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's going to be a TV show and another film. And I'm kind of hoping. I recently picked up Death Stranding, and Keanu Reeves was at the production studio for Death Stranding. They showed pictures of him there, so I'm wondering, and I'm kind of hoping that he's going to be in it somewhere, because there's a lot of celebrity cameos in this game, and I'm really hoping that Keanu Reeves is in there somewhere.
It's incredible how many actors have actually done cameos in video games.
Yeah.
From Sean Bean to Patrick Stewart.
Conan O'Brien is in heaps.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how many Conan O'Brien was in, because I think Conan also made an appearance in one of the most recent Halo games or something.
Okay.
Like as a like a news report, like one of those hologram things or something. But yeah, no, it's awesome seeing the nicest actors, the nicest celebrities get their dues.
Yes, that is something that always makes me happy.
Yes. Speaking of something that made us happy, let's take a little short musical interlude.
Yes.
And then we'll start talking about Dr. Sleep.
Wah, wah, wah.
All right.
Just so everyone's aware,
yes.
We're also joined by a third podcaster today.
Yes.
He's cute.
A professional and hairy podcaster.
Yes.
My dog Dev. My dog Dev. I could write a kid's book on you, buddy, called My Dog Dev. It's already got the perfect title.
Yes. And he probably liked Dr. Sleep, because I feel like Dr. Sleep gets on well with animals.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. There's a cat who seems to share the same abilities as him in the movie.
Yeah. And if you're wondering what this film's about, Stephen King is involved in this. Just a little bit. A film that most horror aficionados will know about is The Shining.
Or just people in general.
Or just people in general.
Here's Johnny, sort of an iconic scene.
Yeah. And I think Dr. Sleep came out a couple of years ago as a novel that Stephen King wrote with help from his son. Mm-hmm. And the film, this film stars Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson,
Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, Cliff Curtis, Bruce Greenwood, Carly Curran, Carl Lumbly, Emily Allen Lind, Zan McLarnon, Jacob Tremblay, and Roger Dale Ford as the young Danny as well.
Yes, and this takes place roughly, I'd say, about 30 years after the events of The Shining.
Well, actually, it opens up right after it.
Yeah, no, well, it opens, but like the majority of the events take place.
Yes.
About 30 odd years after. And it centers around Danny as he's grown up with the Shining ability. Mm-hmm. And
pass on through. He's doing the Yoda's like pass on what you learned.
Yeah. Very Force Awakens. And this film is directed by someone who's been in the horror B-movie game for quite some time.
Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, Mike Flanagan. He did Absentia, which is one of his first films, and he also did Gerald's Game, which is another adaptation of a Stephen King novella, I think, and it premiered on Netflix last year.
Yeah, that was quite well received, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite good. Yeah. A lot of people thought it was quite good, especially because of the production value. It was quite low.
Low budget, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Bruce Greenwood was in it as well.
Oh, yes, he was. So
as Gerald, or was it Gerald, or the husband, or something like that?
Is it
I'm
Gerald?
not familiar with Gerald's Game, so I'm just talking.
I
shit.
did watch the movie. I just can't remember the character's name. So,
Oh, okay.
Which is usually how it goes.
It's about what's her face is like tied to a bed, and she's got to get out.
Yeah.
And it's got music by the Newton brothers, who have done almost every B-grade horror film since 2012.
With some really good ones and some really bad ones.
Yeah, some really good ones, some really bad ones. And cinematography by Michael Fimagnari, who also worked on almost every B-grade horror film since 2012. These three groups, or four
They've
groups
worked
of people,
together a lot.
they've worked together a lot. And I think this really shows.
Yes, I think one thing I'll say from the get-go in this movie is that everyone involved put forward their best in terms of making this movie.
Yeah.
The movie... So I think, just to go off the bat, I think it's about... Rating it now, it's probably about 7.5 for me.
Okay, yeah. I can see that. A realistic 7.5 is a good place to put this film.
Which is better than any... Like, The Shining is a standpoint in cinema for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is a sequel that holds its own as a movie is incredible.
Yeah. And I think, because most films, you look around and you see any sort of reviews or aggregator reviews or anything like that, generally if an aggregator reviews something as like 75 or 71%, I don't like it. I can't like it. Like, I've noticed that a lot of my tastes tend to be 80 to 81 and above. Like, those are the films that I really enjoy.
But there's 40s I enjoy as well. Like,
but yeah, that's it. Like, there's things that... So what I'm saying is, don't go off of aggregator reviews. If you're going to go see a film, like, obviously know what you're going to watch.
Yeah.
But don't trust... Like, don't go to Rotten Tomatoes, look at the score and go, oh, I'm not going to watch that.
Yeah.
Take on board someone's opinion who you respect if you're going to do that, for sure. But make sure it's an individual and not like 50 people that are telling you that
like
this thing
movies
is
like
bad
Mother
or good or whatever.
are a good example of this, where it's like
Yes.
Mother was a movie that like was all over the spectrum, and when if you see it, it's all over the spectrum.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can't always rely on other people's ratings. Sometimes you have to see a movie for yourself.
Exactly.
I think Joker's also had this.
Joker is another one that I don't think you should be trusting too many reviews on.
Even us, go and watch the movie yourself.
Yeah,
and make up your
it's
mind.
important to go see it yourself. Another...
I think people did too.
And that's really good. So yeah, it is. I think this is also a film that has no right to be as good as it is.
Yeah. So a Shining sequel instantly has that placed upon it.
Yeah.
That's you're in the shadow of something.
Yes.
A lot of sequels and remakes have this problem where how do we be something unique and yet pay homage or continue the story of what has come before us?
Yes.
This movie, I think, figured out exactly how it would do these things at the start.
Yeah.
And it committed to those and it created a story out of it.
Yeah. Also, I think it's worth noting that for years after The Shining, Warner Brothers had wanted to make a sequel or a prequel to The Shining because of its critical and financial success.
Also, the scope of the story involved.
Yeah. It's wide ranging. If you take a look at the Torrance family story in The Shining, not only is there a lot of questions left unanswered in the book, there's also a lot more questions left unanswered in the film,
which is deliberate by
Yes. Kubrick was a mad genius. He was, because a lot of that stuff in The Shining, it's horrifying, but also it's that kind of horror that isn't like a jump scare horror.
No.
It's the kind of stuff that lasts, and like the image of that woman in the bathtub.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm glad that I don't have shower curtains in my house because I don't think I'd be able to cope.
Yeah, I don't have shower curtains in my house either.
It's scary. Yeah. It's really like and I remember when I was a kid because I saw it when I was probably way too young, maybe 13 or 14.
Okay, yeah.
And we were living in a house with that kind of a setup where you look into the bathroom and there's a shower curtain there with the bathtub, and every time I looked in there I was like, oh no, I don't want to go in there. And yeah, it's some of those images are truly horrifying and lasting. And one thing that I love about Dr. Sleep is it capitalizes on this.
This it takes advantage of iconic images from The Shining.
Yes.
But then it uses them for its own storytelling.
Yeah.
It doesn't just, this is, you remember this? I mean, I guess it is to a certain degree, but you remember this because of this, and it's going to affect our characters in this movie in this way, and it will cause this to happen.
Yeah. And not only that, but they did this great thing where they recreated the Overlook Hotel from scratch.
Yeah.
On a set.
Which is incredible.
And yeah, it's beautiful as well. And they recreated some of those shots from the original Shining. And it was... I've got a dog here that wants to play fetch.
He's decided that now that we're in the podcast...
now that we're busy, now is the right time.
Because he was just lying on my lap a moment ago while we're all setting up. He was all good for about half an hour or so, and now he has to play.
Yeah, now he has to play. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to force him to wait.
Yeah.
We open this film in a very Shining-esque way.
Yeah.
Right from the theme, like the theme music for The Shining, very similar. We open on Danny...
it's a shot of us going down.
Yes.
Onto nature, which is very reminiscent of the sweeping shots we have as we're going to the hotel in the original.
Yeah. And then we kind of get a first look at Rebecca Ferguson as Rosa the Hat.
Which I think is a bit... They refreshed the movie from the start, because there's a new villain in this movie.
And it's a great villain.
First of all...
Top 10 most beautiful and scary villains of the last, couple of horror films that I've seen.
I had a small crush on Rebecca Ferguson before this movie. Now I have a full-on crush on her. There's a little love heart written on the show notes next to her name. And hey, she's probably not single, but hey.
Probably not.
And I think she's out of my age bracket.
Never say that. Not in Hollywood.
Not in Hollywood.
50-year-olds look like they're 25 in Hollywood.
Joan Rivers is hot, so.
Yes, exactly.
I like to say that.
You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to have your preferences. It's fine. But yeah, she's also a really... we know what her motives are straight off the bat.
Okay, so we have this interruption scene where we see her and a girl, and also that girl's performance. First of all, there's a lot of kid actors in this movie.
Yes.
And they're all fantastic.
Yes. And I'm reminded of how bad Aladdin was by watching this. Like, how bad the child... Like, not how bad, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, the performances in Aladdin for the children, and also for Dumbo as well.
Horrible. Oh, Dumbo was horrible. Oh.
Horrible.
Why?
This film... the kids that they've chosen to play these roles, and like I said, if you've heard our review of Good Boys, Jacob Tremblay, who stars in Good Boys, is in this film in a very, very minor role.
It's a bit part.
It's a very bit part role, which tells me that I think this was filmed. His scenes were filmed before he got into Good Boys.
Well, there are some some shots in this movie that are obvious reshoots. So I think the production for this, while it was fast tracked after chapter 1, it was probably they probably had to go back and reshoot some things. So the production was probably not too quick.
No, and there's scenes, but a lot of those scenes happened in the very first half of this film.
Yes.
Which is good, but they're also very telling.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And, like, Ewan McGregor is no stranger to doing reshoots.
No.
Especially reshoots with a poorly attached beard to his face. This is not the first... As soon as I saw it, I got flashbacks to the Clone Wars, Star Wars Episode 2. And, because if you know anything about that, the reshoots are very obvious in that film because... Ewan McGregor had already shaved the beard off, and they said, we got to go back and reshoot these.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, okay, fine. But, like, and they had to put a fake beard on. Similar thing in this, and it was really obvious.
It was.
But also the cinematography was really obvious as well. It was very clear that they were shooting in front of a green screen.
Right at the start of adult Danny's life, there was a couple of sequences that you're like, well, did this need to be in the movie? I kind of did, and it kind of didn't. I feel like
those were the reshot scenes for the most part. It was like the scene where he's finally got, like, he gets his new house.
Yeah.
In the loft.
Yeah.
I could see, like, the little outline that tells you that it's shot in front of a green screen, unfortunately.
I think they just changed. I think they added stuff before it, and that scene they had to rechange because of the stuff they'd added before it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they had to all add this stuff. I'm
okay with it. Yeah. I'm okay with the content. I'm just not okay with the lack of time and effort that was put into shooting it, just because it was a reshoot.
And because they took time and effort with a lot of other things in this movie, and you can tell.
Yeah. Oh, there's this fantastic scene where Rosa the Hat is flying over the United States of America.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good, and it's shot from a weird angle. It's eerie, it's creepy, and it looks fantastic. And she's flying across the air, like in her mind space, searching for this girl who's got this incredible shining ability.
Yep.
And she's searching for her, and she finally finds her, and she lands on inside the room, and it's such a well shot scene. And I was like, "Wow, this is impressive. It's impressive how they shot that."
There's one small scene where they go inside Rebecca Ferguson's mind.
Yes,
and it's for like a split second. It's this amazing set.
Yeah,
and it's for 2 seconds.
It's only for 2 seconds,
and then when we're out again.
Yeah,
it's incredible the amount of detail they've put into just small scenes.
But that scene where she's flying over, I got real 80s.
Yeah,
vibes of like, because she like it
feels like
it was shot. Yeah, well, it feels like it was shot on a budget in the most creative way they could. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
And it's really beautiful. I honestly would. I do feel like going back and watching this film again, because there's not just one of those types of shots. There's quite a few of them.
They flipped gravity a couple of times in this movie, and they did it the right way. Recently, I've seen it done cheaply as like they're just copying Inception and that sort of thing. Yeah. Whereas this movie, they did it for a creative reason.
And there's also a great scene where they have this little mind battle between Rebecca Ferguson and this kid who has The Shining, and this kid destroys her. Like, straight off the bat, she is way more powerful than Rebecca Ferguson. Rebecca Ferguson's been around for hundreds of years, we assume. She's super powerful.
But it makes sense in the story.
But yeah, and it works really, really well.
That's often you have an overpowered hero in a movie and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah. But there's particular story reasons why it works.
And there's stakes in this.
There are real stakes.
There's stakes in
Deaths in this movie, you feel every single one. Every single one.
When Jacob Tremblay's character, like, it's not really much of a spoiler because he does play a minor role in it.
Yep.
Jacob Tremblay's character plays a kid who has The Shining and uses it for his baseball games. Yep. Like, he can tell where the ball's going to go and he hits it and stuff like that. And he eventually gets captured by this cult led by Rebecca Ferguson's character and killed. The Knot. And killed by them to obtain his shining essence, which is the essence that people give off when they die.
Yeah. You know, actually, the side characters, like the bit parts in this movie, remind me of bit parts from a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Because they're fleshed out.
They are fleshed out, and they're played by really, really good actors.
There's another character that's kind of the same as Snakebite, played by Emily Allen Lynn, who becomes...
Yes.
Her story is a major part of explaining the Knot. But at the same time, it's so fleshed out and well added to the movie. It's seamless. In the first half of this movie is sort of two stories, like they're going parallel, and then they cross over. Yeah,
and also Crow Daddy as well, who's played by Zahn McClarnon.
Yeah, he was great.
He's great. He's the right hand man to Rebecca Ferguson's Rose of the Hat, and it's great. They all have these really great performances that draw everything, like the narrative together.
Yes.
Which is really strong. Another thing that I really did not realise, and I looked it up after, was that Danny Lloyd, who originally played Danny Torrance in the original Shining, he makes a cameo as the father of Jacob Tremblay's character, Bradley Traver. And he's there just telling his best mate, or we assume his best mate, just saying like, that kid's a mate, like he's so cool. He's like, that's my kid. He can tell what's going to happen before anything else.
Like he's psychic.
Yeah, basically psychic. And yeah, it was really nice. Kind of this film is very involved in The Shining.
Yes,
which is great, and I love it. It's been when was the last time you saw The Shining?
So many years ago. I think before college. I think I watched it 2011, 2010-ish.
I made the mistake of watching it at college by myself in my dorm room at 9, 10 o'clock at night. That was the last time I saw it.
If I'd known that, I would have pranked you so hard.
Scotty showing up in the shower naked, just smiling creepily.
No,
that would have creeped me out.
That's just a normal day in the
that's
the college showers, so that's not that scary, really.
I really enjoyed how we went back there as well.
Yes. So, once again, we were talking earlier about how it's hard to do a sequel. I feel like they involved the Overlook Hotel just enough. And it was... The way... Danny has boxes in his mind that he's trapped things in.
Yes.
And the fact that it plays true to his character, while not involving the hotel at the start, and then when they go back to the hotel, how everything comes together, it means we don't need to be in the hotel to experience the hotel in the background. And then when we get to the hotel, everything literally, we open all the boxes.
Yeah. And it's really cool. And one of the scenes leading up to that is when Rosa the Hat and Danny have this standoff in the what would you call it, the living room of the hotel, where the infamous staircase is, where back in The Shining you've got his father and his mother squaring off, and his mother's got the bat, and his father's saying, I'm not going to kill you, I just want to bash your brains in. And we have almost a similar scene happen where Danny has an axe and he's fending her off, and she's just stalking him up the stairs. And it's a great scene. It's fantastic. And I love how they flipped some of these scenes on their heads. And they're very similar to The Shining, but they've got their own meaning and their own bent to it, which means something to in itself as a film.
So, in my opinion, this movie, the reason it's called Dr. Sleep, is it's really the battle for Danny's soul. And we have two parallel storylines. So I think the reason we see the Knot and Rosa the Hat and all these other characters is you can actually see that if Danny had met them, and Rosa the Hat says it herself, he would have been one of the ones they would have recruited. He, in this movie, he's an alcoholic, he's got problems, he's trying to fix them, he's trying to be the best person he is, but he's haunted by his own abilities and by his own past. And the fact that he makes the right decisions, not always the best decisions, that I think that's the core of this movie.
And also this whole the themes of death and accepting death. Rosa the Hat and her crew can't accept death for what it is, and to a point they're almost afraid of it.
They're basically vampires.
They are. They are. They're basically vampires. And Danny, even though he is also kind of afraid of all of these things, he accepts death for what it is. And he's able to deal with that.
And he's able to help other people deal with it as well.
That's it. Like, that was really... I think they could have lost that in translation a bit as well if they weren't careful. But what was really good is Danny gets a job at a hostel, like a health hostel.
Yeah, he's a ward at a old people's homes.
Yes. And he takes care of old people, and he's got like this little sidekick cat who goes and sits on people's beds who are about to die. And then he goes in and he helps them transition to accepting the fact that they will die, and they're okay with that.
And it's a peaceful passing.
Like,
there's something beautiful about
which is so different in comparison to how Rosa the Hat and her crew deal with it, because they terrify people in order to take their essence.
And secretly they're terrified of death. There's a scene of... He's a famous old actor, isn't he? I can't remember his name.
I can look it up if you want.
But
keep talking.
One of the Knot dies, and Rosa the Hats talk to him. Is like, you're not scared. You're not scared, but you can tell he's actually terrified. And the thing is with death, putting it off isn't always the right thing. I've had friends who've worked at old people's homes, and people get sick. Sometimes you get put in these situations where someone's dying, and all the family is there, but they're all fighting about all the wrong stuff. They're fighting about inheritances. They're fighting about who's going to take care of the funeral. They're fighting about this, fighting about that. None of them are there for the right reasons. And you see people in those situations. They're like, they're basically living through hell. Maybe they're in massive amounts of pain. Maybe they're drugged up, and maybe their part of their brain isn't working properly, and they don't have full access of their full capabilities. They're quite often in those situations, life is hell, and all they want to do is peacefully pass away, and they're not able to. Whereas Danny is able to, in this movie, he is there, so in their last moments, they can drift off peacefully. They can just fall asleep. That's why he's called Dr. Sleep. Spoilers.
The film is called Dr. Sleep.
But
that old man, Father Flick, was his name. Is played by Carol Strickland. And he's been in so many things. He was in Twin Peaks.
That sounds right.
He was in Star Trek Next Generation. He also played Lurch in the Addams Family films in the 90s.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes.
And he was also in Gerald's Game as Moon Man or something, Moonlight Man.
Okay.
So yeah, he's very iconic.
Yeah.
And also, there's a nice little monologue, I guess, that Rosa has where she's talking to him on his deathbed about how he's lived for thousands and thousands of years.
He's old. He's older than the Roman Empire. Basically.
Yeah, he fed on kings and he fed on princes and all this other, like, this really just rich narrative that this one character has, who is very much a side, and not even a side. He doesn't even get to be a side character. He's kind of just he's there in the background.
He's sort of the father of the knot, but at the same time, Rose of the Hill is really the boss.
Yeah.
Rose of the Hat.
Yeah. Rose of the Hill.
Rose of the Hill.
But yeah, no, it was fantastic seeing a lot of these little characters fleshed out, while also getting a lot of really juicy narrative out of the main cast.
And it's all for the plot, the point of the plot.
Yeah.
The story is always leading somewhere, and even though we've got these fleshed out characters, they are just elaborating on why we're getting to this point, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great. I love it. It was a fun movie. It wasn't, that being said...
It was actually way more of a horror movie than a psychological thriller as well.
Yeah, yeah.
While it does have the psychological thriller aspects, it was way more horror than I was expecting, which I actually enjoyed.
And I would have liked less of the jump scare stuff.
There's this loud heartbeat that's beating throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed it, but there was a couple of times where it was like, it was a bit too much. You could
just draw it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But it does really well with what it has. But it's not perfect.
No,
but
it's not.
Really good.
Yeah, it's got perfect imperfection. So it's like there's some pacing issues, but you understand why there's pacing issues here in these points. And at the end, it's like when we do get to the hotel, there's bits we love about it, and there's also bits like where we could have probably had less of.
Yeah.
When the boxes are opened and they all come out, it did really just feel like they just all came out.
Yeah.
I felt like there could have been a bit more subtlety, or
it would have been. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that Danny would have unlocked them one by one as Rosa was walking through the hotel.
Yeah.
And there was one scene where the blood comes out, and I was like, I actually didn't like it.
No.
I didn't mind it. It was just... What I kind of wanted was to actually see Rosa the Hat, because she gets souped up with all of this smoke.
Yeah.
From like the essence, the shining essence from other people before she goes on this hunt. I would have liked to see her use that ability to kind of push the blood aside. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we never really see her.
Really, she's just walking past.
Yeah, and we never really see her to her fullest powerful potential in this film.
No, the scenes that we got of her like that were basically the mirror scenes from the original.
Yeah. And I would have liked to see a little bit more from her on the abilities side. You know what I mean? Like when the blood comes out, I would have liked to have just raised her hand and it just parts around her or something, and she's like, this doesn't affect me, kind of thing. And then as she goes through, she becomes more and more affected by it, just like in The Shining. Because in The Shining, Torrance's fall to madness is a gradual one, not one that happens straight away.
Yeah.
And I feel like her demise happens too quickly. I would have liked to see that happen over the span of her walking through that hotel.
If anything, all the traps all felt too perfectly dealt with.
Yeah.
So there's another trap they set up earlier, and it just goes perfectly, and then it doesn't go perfectly because there's another trap, and that goes perfectly. Both of them set the perfect traps, and both of them were just too smooth.
Yeah.
Which does take you out of the movie a little bit, but at the same time, it's like we get to the next plot arc, and then like we're continuing on. So
yeah. But yeah, it does pretty well with what it's got. There are a few missteps here and there, but I don't think those missteps hurt the film too badly.
Those missteps are supported by brilliant characters delivered by brilliant performances. Like, first of all, Ewan McGregor is fantastic in this movie. Yes. Rebecca Ferguson is fantastic in this movie.
Character development and performances wash away a lot of sins in this film.
Yeah.
That's not to say that the sins don't exist. It's just that they are acceptable in light of what else we're getting from this movie.
And the fact that it sticks to its story so well, even though the story makes some weird decisions, or some decisions that take you out of the movie, the story itself is so clear cut and being true to itself that you just go along with it.
Yeah, and it's really enjoyable. I really like it.
Yeah, I think I need to go watch it again. But one thing that I will say this does as a perfect sequel, it makes me want to go back and rewatch The Shining.
Yeah.
So, like, it could have been that I would come at the movie and like, I probably should go rewatch The Shining just to compare. Like, if it would just been an okay movie.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I think it's better than okay.
Yeah.
It's not a masterpiece, but it's better than okay. It's a reasonable movie.
Especially as far as horror films go, I think this is one of the better films that we've received this year in terms of horror films.
Well, if you compare this to, and I feel we have to, It Chapter 2.
Oh, yeah.
This is everything It Chapter 2 wanted to succeed in doing, this movie succeeds in doing.
Yes, and does it better.
Yeah.
Better than Chapter 2 does.
So you see adults being scared and dealing with issues in this movie.
You also
so
see
much
the
better.
villains being scared.
Yes.
Like the monsters that are scaring other people finally get scared, which is what It Chapter 2 was trying to do with Pennywise, but it didn't work.
Because they didn't really deliver on Pennywise at all.
No, they didn't.
We didn't get enough Pennywise character.
We didn't get in-depth Pennywise. We got meh Pennywise.
Whereas in this, we get both the hotel and Rosa the Hat being terrified.
And I love how they talked about the house or the hotel, as a living, breathing monster.
It is. They wake it up.
Yeah.
And that is a fantastic sequence when Ewan McGregor's Danny wakes up the house.
And as he's walking, all the lights are appearing overhead as he's walking. Like, boom,
boom. Amazing visual cue is when the girl enters the house, they get brighter because she's
more powerful. Yeah.
She's lining up even more.
Mm.
There are also some of the hidden themes. Not hidden, they're there. To do with alcoholism. I think they were it was reasonably well tackled.
Well, actually, all of the issues that Danny has are all ties to his father.
Yes.
And his worst qualities of his father.
Yeah.
So the alcoholism, the anger, the self-abuse.
Yeah.
Also the abuse of others, because we find out Danny just goes around fighting people, hurting other people, hurting himself, and then just sleeping with random strangers.
Yeah.
But there's great scenes where
he's so broken that his moral compass, like,
is it Carl, the black guy, the cook, the cook from the Overlook Hotel that dies trying to save Danny in The Shining. He shows up almost as his conscience.
He's his guide to the future.
Spirit guide.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice.
He's his Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He is. That's one thing I thought of, because we start with Danny with a beard, and I was like, it's Obi-Wan. And then the beard got fake, and I was like, yes, it's definitely Obi-Wan.
Speaking of that, Disney Plus will be having an Obi-Wan Kenobi television series.
Yes, and I am really excited because it comes out into not the TV show, but Disney Plus comes out here in Australia in 3 weeks.
And Mandalorian is going to be on it straight away?
Yeah, Mandalorian is going to be out straight off the bat. So is a bunch of other Disney films, and so is I'm pretty sure The Simpsons are also going to be on there, because they now...
Oh, they got Fox.
Yeah, they got Fox.
Okay.
Which is awesome.
Oh, that means they're going to have so much.
Yeah, they're going to have heaps, and they're only doing it for like $6, I think, over here in Australia.
That's pretty good.
That's what it is. It's so much cheaper than anything else. So I'm going to be cancelling some of my services and switching to Disney Plus.
Well, we don't need to in my house because we all share. And what happens is
you'll probably end up getting it anyway.
I'll pay for Disney Plus and then I'll add it to our collection.
I have a friend at work who refused to jump on the bandwagon for Disney Plus because he's like, they're taking over everything, and I was like, yeah, but at the same time, they're employing really good artists.
You know, they have a fleet that's larger than most of the countries in the world.
Yeah, and I don't think artists should suffer from the reputation of a production company.
I know we're going off on a tangent though.
Yeah,
Apple TV Plus is coming out as well.
Yeah, we saw an advertisement for a film that I'm keen to see.
C. It's called C.
It is called C.
Yeah.
And it stars Jason Momoa, and it looks like this post-apocalyptic but also 10,000 BC
I was going to say
type world.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Cloud Atlas.
Yes, that was actually what it reminded me of. It reminded me of 10,000 BC and Cloud Atlas.
Yeah. And I'm really keen to see it because, this is... So, one of the reasons why I'm excited for this is because it feels like an original production.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a lot of good original productions that have been mainstreamed
I mean, Amazon
if you want to
Prime,
talk about that.
about 3 or 4 years ago, had a bunch that came out.
Yeah.
Manchester by the Sea, and there was a couple others.
They're not doing those anymore, unfortunately.
It is a shame.
They actually released a statement. The president of Amazon Prime released a statement saying that they were going to be focusing on giving money towards viable TV shows and films that are going to be a sure thing.
Uh-huh.
So we're not going to get a lot of original stuff anymore.
That's a shame. But if we're getting from Apple, because they're also doing one with Anthony Mackie, Samuel L. Jackson, and Nicholas Hoult. It's about banking, and it's a feel-good, take it to the man sort of story.
Nice.
Where these black people are buying white people area houses during the 1950s. It's just a cool story. I like the idea of the story.
I love it. So yeah, keep an eye on Apple Plus Apple. What is it? Apple TV Plus or something?
Yeah, Apple TV Plus.
Because they got quite a few things coming out on
competition
release.
is good. Competition is a good thing.
It is very good.
I think this is something people don't understand. It's like all these variations mean we're going to have a lot of competition, which means people are going to be pushing to get the best products out there.
Yes.
Which is good for us, the viewers.
This is the best part of commercialism.
Yes, it is.
I think because you get to... the best stuff often rises to the top.
Often, also in the filmmaking industry, it can also often be a monopoly.
Yes.
And monopolies mean
you don't want that.
You don't want a monopoly because what it means is that they'll do the cheap. They care about the profit margins so much.
And they'll siphon off ideas that they don't see a point in, even though those ideas could be really good.
Well, The Passengers, I think, is the clearest cut example of what happens when you do it wrong.
Yeah.
You take a good idea and then you make it...
And Annihilation and how to produce something terribly out of belief that it's going to fail before you even release it.
Yeah.
Very, very stupid, very narrow-sighted, the way that they handled that. But I'm glad that we're getting more and more stuff out there. I'm glad that more and more stuff is becoming available for the public to see. I'm still not happy with how Australian cinema, Australian theatres and stuff handle international releases, especially indie productions, but I think that's more to do with the producers than anything else.
I think
being able to sink money
it's
into
more
it.
to do with the cinemas. I think they're like they don't have the confidence to put the movies in the theaters.
That's true. Well, they are the buyers. Yeah. They are the ones that set the price.
Because there's a movie we want to watch. We want to watch The Lighthouse.
We want to watch The Lighthouse.
And we can't find it.
No, it's not coming out here. I don't think it will until award season, which will be roughly 4 months after the release of the film.
So I looked up the official statement from a couple of indie cinemas, and it's like, we will get it if we can.
Yeah.
Which means that bigger cinemas might not actually let them get it.
Oh no, the bigger cinemas probably won't.
And that doesn't mean the bigger cinemas are going to get it. It just means they won't let the small indie cinemas get it. Because what they want is the small indie cinemas to show the same movies that they're showing, but in smaller theatres, and then they can put them out of business.
Yep. It sucks. It really, really sucks.
And I work at a Whole Foods grocers, but we actually have a good relationship with Aldi, Woolies, and Coles because we sell different products.
Yeah.
We have our competition is unique in that we are doing the same thing, but we're doing it in a different, unique way.
And it's respectful.
It's respectful. And if we don't have a product, we will send someone to Woolies.
Yeah.
And I know that people in Woolies, if we have something that they don't have sent people to us.
Yeah.
And the reason they're doing that is because they know we're sending people back.
Yeah.
If we are both selling different things, we have a mutual relationship.
There's a respect to that.
There's still competition. Our prices are being kept for the consumers because, of course, our profit margins aren't that great because of it. But still.
But that's it. Like you when you focused on why you're doing what you're doing, and when the focus isn't money, when it's just providing a service to somebody, that makes it more worthwhile, I believe, than just money.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, producers and cinema companies are focused on that money instead of...
What about a company called Low Hanging Fruit, which isn't really called Low Hanging Fruit, but I call it Low Hanging Fruit?
Tell me what you're talking about.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No, you still lost me.
It's Low L Hanging H Fruit.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Are they competitive? Unique service?
They're better now.
They're better now.
They're better now.
I thought you'd get it straight away. Sorry.
No, I'm not in that mode of thinking.
You're not lateral enough.
If I'm not there, I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah, good.
Which is the best place to be. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap up Doctor Sleep now, and we'll have a little break.
Yep.
And then we'll come back with trivia and also a little special announcement.
Dum dum dum!
For something upcoming.
Yeah.
So let's take a break. Hey, welcome back. Do you have trivia? You don't have trivia, do you?
I don't actually have trivia because my phone is charging. But I can make something up if you want.
You can make something up. I'm going to help you with that, actually. Done.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Go nuts.
This person was born... Actually, no. This person...
He was not born.
This person...
He was created in a test tube. No, he wasn't.
This person passed away on March 7th, 1999. Was an American director, screenwriter, and producer, and is frequently cited as one of the most influential filmmakers in cinematic history. And that's all I'm telling you.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done. So who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu.
Let us know. Or don't.
Actually, this would be more of a Darkrai, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Also, remember to follow us, guys, if you can.
Follow us on YouTube. And it's probably the best place to leave comments, too.
Yeah, it is. And we're on all the podcasting services. Just look up our name if you can't find us. If you can't find a link in whatever we're sharing, just look us up.
When people come up to me in the street and ask me about the podcast I'm in, because that happens all the time.
All the time. All the time. I usually feel like that man has a face for podcasting.
Yeah, that's correct. That's exactly what my face is like. Spotify is usually a thing because it's on my phone, but
Spotify is easy.
Apple is also quite
Apple is easy as well.
Those are the
Spotify and Apple are our most popular streaming services.
I do know that some people do uniquely use... Uniquely? Is that the right word?
Uniquely?
Singularly use YouTube, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Which is also understandable.
Yeah, so. That is fine. Also, a special announcement that I mentioned earlier.
That was a terrible drum beat, whatever.
That was horrible. But you can hear a really good drum beat in our upcoming episode for the detectives, the adventures of Detective Swag and Dr. Yeatley.
Swag and Yeat.
Yeah, the second episode, which will hopefully be dropping straight after this episode.
And also, we're going to put a poll up at the same time as this episode.
Yeah.
Option A, Swag and Yeet. Option B, Yeet and Swag. Option C, don't care.
Yes.
That is the...
Option C is going to be the most popular
by far.
But yeah,
or it could be IIPPPIAAYS or something like that.
Well done.
I think something like that.
Done. Wow. I would like to talk about this for a second because this episode is something that I did something that I've never done before. And I have composed and recorded my own little song. My own little song.
It's quite the epic. It's grand in length.
Yeah, it goes for quite a while. And it's all about one character. And I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So yeah, it's gonna be
If you haven't listened to our first episode, please go and listen to our first episode.
Please do.
And tell us what you think, because feedback is key.
As of now, we have a confirmed 35 downloads from that episode, and that isn't including non-downloaded streams.
I know that some people only listened to it the last week, and this is like a month or so after almost a month after.
And I know there's a handful of people that have promised to listen to it and haven't yet.
Well, that's understandable.
I know who you are.
We will come for you.
Yep, and
we will drag back the shower curtains and reveal the naked lady.
That's honestly the scariest thing out of The Shining. Is that lady? In my opinion, I feel like that's.
I think it's the kids being eaten.
No, I said The Shining, not.
Oh, in The Shining. Okay.
But yeah, the kids being eaten is horrible.
I think it's.
But yeah, I think that's us. That is us. I've been Jordan.
I'm still Scotty. I was Scotty at the start too. Devereaux is still around here somewhere.
Yeah, he's right there. He's just lying down there.
Yes.
And this has been the Filmers Podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening.
We love you.
You'll hear us next week.
Also, Rebecca Ferguson, I love you.
Yeah, he loves you, Rebecca. I'll be your wingman. I'll wing. I don't know. I'll get into Hollywood somehow, and I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up.
I'll probably just end up, having a coffee, and then be like, yeah, let's go make a movie. That's all it'll be.
All right, guys. See ya.
See ya.